Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rafaela, and this morning I woke up to a message from someone who had watched The Weight of Lightness. Their words were very kind, and I just want to mention before I get into this journal entry today that it is always going to be deeply heartwarming for me to share something so personal and have it ripple out into the open and reach people that it resonates with. We exchanged a few messages, very few, about one or two, but in those two messages, their perspective on the topic and how they understood their video sparked a new wave of reflection for me. And it also ultimately inspired today's journal entry. So not only do I thank them for their kind words and support, I also want to thank them for unknowingly planting the seed of today's entry. So today we are exploring a topic that I think many of us in quiet ways relate to, and the title of today is Wounds We Worship. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. There's something strangely comforting about pain you've known for a long time. It may not be pleasant, but it's familiar. It fits like a coat that's too heavy but worn just enough that you know every seam. You don't always go out of your way to search for it, but when it arrives, it's no surprise. And after a while, that familiarity becomes rather addictive. Addictive in a way that returning to something known feels easier and rather safer than reaching out for the unknown. You find yourself drawn back to memories that sting and patterns that drain you because at least you know how those end. And that's when predictable pain can feel and will feel safer than uncertain peace. When pain sticks around for long enough, it starts to shape who we think we are. You begin to wear it like a name tag, and the heartbreak, the rejection, and the betrayal, these all become part of how you explain yourself. They give context to your choice and your silence, and I've personally done that. I've been in situations where I've spoken from my wounds as if they were credentials, and maybe in some way they were, but here comes a point that you have to ask yourself, am I holding on to these things because I need them, or am I holding on to them because I'm afraid of who I might become without them? Even when something better finds its way in, something kind, stable and real, it's not always easy to trust it. You say you want peace, but end up circling back to chaos. You recognize the toxicity in hindsight, but in the moment it all feels a little bit like home. And I've also been there, pushing away something good because it felt unfamiliar. I questioned it and ruined it. And when it was gone, I added it to the pile of pain that I was already carrying. Not because it belonged there, but because I didn't know what else to do with it. So the irony is that we crave what could heal us, but we also don't really recognize it when it shows up. Now, there's a strange kind of power in expecting the worst. If you assume that things will fall apart, you never have to be surprised when it actually does. But that mindset doesn't really protect you, it just shrinks your life. You stop reaching, you stop trusting. And I've also lived in that space where bracing for impact felt like strength, but it's really fear in disguise. And fear, if left unchecked, will talk you out of everything that was meant to soften you. Now, the world doesn't do much of a good job either. We glorify suffering, we celebrate those who endure, who survived everything. But survival isn't the same as healing, and being broken isn't an identity. Sometimes we hold onto our pain because it's been the loudest part of our story for so long that we forget we can rewrite a new one at any time. that there's no prize in staying hurt, and that you are allowed to outgrow your suffering. Oddly, joy can feel threatening, more threatening than pain. When something finally goes right, when someone shows up without any hidden motives, it's become our instinct to doubt it, to prepare for the fall, or even to be the ones that cause that fall. And I've also done that too. I dimmed my joy so that I wouldn't have to lose it later, or rather that no one could take it from me. But that's not living, that's coping, and joy doesn't thrive in fear, for it needs room to breathe and it needs room to be trusted. Pain can become a hidden place almost. It gives you something to focus on, and it shields you from change, from intimacy, from responsibility. You tell yourself that you're processing when really you're just circling the same ache, and at some point you have to stop rehearsing the story and choose to move forward. Because healing isn't just about relief, it's about becoming someone who can finally trust softness, someone who doesn't flinch at calm, who doesn't confuse peace with emptiness. It's about releasing the version of you that was built in defense of the pain. And that takes a different kind of strength, not the kind that resists, but the kind that allows, the kind that forgives, and the kind that lets go. And if you're here now feeling stuck, circling the same emotion, exhausted from your own pattern, then please know this, that you're not broken, you are not weak for struggling to let go, and that we all have things that we carry that we're never meant to carry for such a long time. But you don't have to stay in survival mode forever. And at any moment you can begin again, not by pretending that nothing happened, but by deciding that your pain doesn't get the final state. So I would like to thank you all for sitting with me through this reflection. If today's journal entry resonated with you, then I hope that you carry some of it with you, not as an additional weight, but as a small reminder that you're not alone in what you feel, and that healing isn't a destination, but it's you returning again and again to the parts of yourself that are ready to come back to life. If you feel comfortable, then please do share your thoughts and your stories in the comments. I always read them. I think it can be scary to how quickly I respond to comments and how quickly I do read your opinions. And yeah, as always, take care of yourself, enjoy your day, and be gentle with yourself on your journey. I shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.